Okay, here I'm going to go over something that I think it's overlooked by a lot of growers, and it's the simple fact of keeping records. Now, they don't have to be this large or this extensive, but this is more important than most growers realize. The system's variable. Not every farmer takes the records exactly the same way, but the key part is that you have something that you actually will do. Some form or some method of actually documenting what occurred in maintaining those records so that you can refer back to them in the future. So, obvious question is just, well, why should I keep records? What's the point? In a good year, you want to know what you did. So if something worked out really good in hindsight, you kind of want to have those records so you can repeat that pattern in future years. However, in a bad year, you also know you want to know what you did because you want to know why didn't it work, or why in hindsight did I look at a decision I made or something that occurred I didn't react to quick enough. So it's also beneficial then. So you can see whether you have a good year or a bad year, keeping records is important. And even in an ugly year or two, some things you can't control 100%, but you just want to know what happened and potentially why that occurred. So, what do I keep records of? Well, there's no right or wrong answer to this, but we want to focus on a few important items or crops. Soil testing is an excellent record to keep and maintain for each field. Planting dates, that could be started in the field, that could be started in the greenhouse, that could be transplant dates, things like that. And also, in general, each crop has its own unique qualities, but when it may went into flower, when I notice fruit set, when I see insects and disease sightings start to increase, what were my harvest dates, what were my yields on the field. Again, a lot of things you could potentially keep track of. You want to focus on a few that you're actually going to do, and that will provide you information in the future. Insects and disease scouting, you know about when a disease came in one year so you can be ready for it and prepare for it the following year. When was fruit set? When was flowering? How does that relate to harvest date? How many days after? How many weeks after did that occur? It can be important for your clients or your CSA or your people asking when you're going to have X, Y, or Z. You can give them a better idea in years to come. When you see that flowering, you know, oh, it's going to be 2 weeks, it's going to be 3 weeks. Then I should have something for you. How do I keep records? A question I get asked a lot. Well, you want to label the fields with the name that's logical to you. I don't care what you call the fields. I'll call them, quote, whatever you call them. And you want to keep the name independent of the crop. So you don't want to call this the sunflower field because this year you grew sunflowers and next year it'll be tomatoes or corn. And you're like, oh, the sunflower field. Yeah, I want the corn on it. Now, try to get away from calling it with the crop that's grown on it. Call it the name. Next to the hillside, you know, the level field, the rocky field, the next to grandma's house, whatever works for you. It's not a problem as long as you know what that relates to. And you can break up your fields as small as possible. Here, a nice level area. Well, here you have different fields. Keep the name independent of the crop and label it something logical. You can call it North 1, North 2, North 3. That works too. You don't have to get fancy or creative with the names. But get away from calling by the crop because ideally you'll be rotating and that might confuse you in future years. Is weather important to keep track of? Weather should be documented, I feel, in some way. Individual weather stations you could have are an option, but you can use some public sources that are probably close enough. You want to find a station that's close to you, whether you're in the hills or the valley or near the shore or anywhere in between. You want to have an area that's close to you because there'll be little microclimates that develop. It just gives you a general idea. And if it rained, well, how much rain? You could have a simple rain gauge, something like that, just so you have some sort of documentation. Temperature fluctuations, highs and lows. Weather Channel provides some data. There's some Weather Underground, some other websites that are great at just documenting what the weather is and just have a way to document and save that for you. So what suggestions do I have? What do I use to keep records? Well, one recommendation is to use a slideshow format, which makes it easy to import pictures, and the title can act as the date, and it's in like a PowerPoint here. Written notes work also. You can type those right in there. So what system I use? I use a PowerPoint or a slideshow system. I find it really easy for pictures, which are important. Really easy to put dates in, jot down a couple notes, and move on to the next slide. For different fields, I could have different PowerPoints. It allows me to go back and dial in and really focus in on what may have occurred in that region. Again, that's a system that works for me. Do you have to use this? No, I do a lot of PowerPoints. But what I like about it is it's really easy to put pictures in, which are important. And as I said, pictures are highly recommended. Because even though you're taking a picture of X, later you may be more interested in Y. So while you look at this picture, If you see the older woman or the two guys and a horse, something that you may see originally may get changed. You might be looking at the tomatoes, but later when you look back, you might be looking at, oh, what weeds were coming in, or what did the leaves look like, or what was that thing behind it, or other things. It's amazing what a picture can tell you looking back with fresh eyes on it. And an example here, do you see the older man's face here? Here's his nose and mustache. You see the young lady's back here. Here's her nose, her eyes, and this would be her ear, and this would be her hair there. So as I said, those pictures, because you might see something initially, you might refer back to them, it might be different. Should I take written notes? Written notes can be quick and easy. Field notes, quick little thing, right on your phone real quick. Whiteboard works too, but be careful, these can get erased, and if they get wet or rain or water, they're going to run. Good for quick little notes. Sometimes if your workers have something to jot down or something they see, you could have a little board dedicated to that. That's great. Quick little field notes, just something quick, easy. What did you see? What you need to document. All good options in just in some way of taking notes. Last important point, determine a format that you'll actually do. It'll provide helpful information looking back, and it'll keep yourself organized. However you want to organize it, by crop or by field, what you see, you could do. Look at the fruit, look at the leaves, and look at insects. You just want to have some sort of format. It'll keep you better in tune with, did I miss something, or did I make sure I write down everything there that I need to see. And again, they don't have to be long, quick little notes. And the whole goal is to be able to have something to refer back to during the off season so you can better plan for the next year.